Here we are today. We're going to look at some of the aspects of some work that we've done as far as plumbing on our project. And before we've done that with like the other videos, I'd like to cover some of the materials that we used in our project. First, we have right here is just a piece of just standard black ABS pipe. You can get this pretty much at any RV place. I couldn't find this at like your Home Depots or your Lowe's or anywhere. Everything's PVC. Of course, again, this is black ABS. Fixture right here where I did some repair on the shower, which I'll show you in detail when we get inside the RV and look at some of the work inside. This is just a plumbing fixture that was used, again all ABS, which we'll look at that. Here is PEX. If any are familiar, all the plumbing in most RVs. It's a standard piece of PEX pipe. What you have here, here's a PEX fitting, and then you have the PEX coupling, or crimp rings as they're called. Again, I've got a package here. Now this you can get at any Home Depot or Lowe's as well, the big box store, reasonably cheap. These are not getting a little pricey because they're made of copper, and so that's how they go. We've got this is what's called a no-go gauge, and it's just a way of telling if your PEX crimp is good or not, because once you crimp this PEX fitting, then you notice on here, you probably can't see it there, but there it says no go, and there it says no go, there it says no go, there it says go. And so basically once you crimp it, you just slide it over that into that, and it'll tell you if your crimp was not good enough. If not, you need to adjust your crimping pliers. Now another factor in this, of course, you got to have the crimping pliers. These are like the Lexus of crimping pliers here. These are Zerns. The biggest problem people have with doing PEX this way, there are some quick disconnects, is these right here. These are quite pricey. These are probably $80, $90 pliers. Believe it or not, I got these on closeout. I think I paid $29 for them. So I actually got these pretty cheap. The other issue with these as well is that they are, if I can get it in the camera, size specific. If you can see that, it says a ½ inch. So the head, or you either had to buy a different head or whatever for each size. Now, fortunately, in an RV, you know, 99% of it, if not 100% of it, is all ½ inch. Of course, this is ½ inch PEX pipe. You can buy it at Home Depot or Lowe's, no problem. Relatively cheap, 8-10 foot stick of this, just a couple of dollars. Another thing I want to show you, because I'll show you later on in one of the projects, is this is the original filler valve that came from Fleetwood, and as you can see where the hose goes right here is broke off, which is why it's gone. Of course, you can see the check valve down inside there, and so this is what the original piece was, kind of a pewter piece, kind of a pewter chromed piece, which was well, held up for 13 years at the age of the RV, but it finally broke, as well as the drain. I have the drain somewhere, but I replaced it as well. It was in much worse shape. All the chrome had fell off of it. It was looking pretty nasty, so I replaced it as well. And we'll look at what I replaced that with in a later plumbing video. And then we just have a lot of old seals like this that are rotten and gone. Of course, all that has to be replaced. So these are some of the products that we used. Could give a demonstration on here, of course, as you can tell by the camera going everywhere, that I not only produced this, did the work, but I'm also the lone cameraman, so again, I have to do everything one-handed. But it's real simple. You just place the coupling where you want it. You just these just open up. Of course, they're very, very tight, as you can see. It's pretty big. You just open these up, put them around this, and just clamp them. They'll crimp down. You put your no-go gauge on it to make sure it's crimped good enough, and then you go from there. The crimp, if that doesn't work, there are some adjustments that you can make on this tool right here. You can adjust this right here, and that's how you adjust it to make sure that these crimp tight enough. You definitely want these to be tight enough, because that's it, and you don't, once you get inside the walls, you don't want any water leaks. So that's just all the basic tools that I used as far as just simple plumbing. Again, it's prohibited to a lot of people because of this tool right here is just quite expensive. Everything else is relatively inexpensive. The only other issue is sometimes accessibility. You've noticed these things are pretty large, especially when you got to have them completely open like this to crimp a tool. So that became somewhat of a challenge. When you look at some of the photos, I'll show you the tight place I had to work in the bathroom on some of the plumbing work that I had to do. So again, these are just some of the tools and some of the products that you'll use in any plumbing work that you do. Pretty straightforward. This right here, you can just cut with a razor knife. I've got a pair of them little snips I use to cut PVC. Very, very simple to cut. Another thing to realize about this pipe is when you're working with it is it's fairly rigid. It's not a real flexible pipe. So when you're working with it inside the RV and you've got to work it around tight corners, a lot of the times you cannot bend it. You've got to use this right here. Is not an actual elbow, but similar like this. Use these little brass fittings. You have to actually elbow it. You can't crimp. The stuff will not bend real well at 90 degrees. So it's fairly rigid product. So you'll have to use these. Coarser brass could be a little expensive. $2, $3, $4 a piece, depending on what you get. So that's really where the money is. The hose is pretty cheap. Of course, again, if you're doing repair work, if you've got these, you can reuse them because you can simply just take, since these are copper, these are very simple to cut. You can just cut these off. A lot of times the plastic will be crimped down on the brass real hard. You might have to take a little razor knife and slice that, but then you can just pop this right out. And wherever possible, of course it's brass, it doesn't hurt it. Reuse them wherever possible and save you some money. Of course, just replace the plastic. You can buy these. I believe this is a bag of, this was a bag of 12. You can buy large bags of them. But again, pretty simple stuff. The no-go tools, $2, $3, really cheap. PVCs, I'm sorry, the ABS, a little pricey. $1 something a foot, I think I paid for this. And this whole fitting here is about $2, $3. So nothing grossly expensive, but can really come in handy when you want to do some replumbing or repair work in your RV. So that's just a look at some of the work. So now we'll in the next video just take a look and we'll look at some of the plumbing work that we actually did on the RV. See you then.